Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we get episode 121 today.
It's the Lawrence Welk episode, a 1 and a 2 and a 1.
I like that. That's pretty good. I like that there. That was actually a question in Trivia Pursuit. Remember Trivial Pursuit or Trivia Pursuit?
Yes. I have a 35-year winning streak in Trivial Pursuit.
Nice. One of the questions in that was whose license plate was 1A NA 12 or something like that, and it was a 1 and a 2.
Yeah.
I think, no, A1, AN, A2. That's what it is. A1, AN, A2. Whose license plate was that?
I like that.
A 1 and a 2. Yeah, so that's what it was.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a trivia question, Trivia Pursuit. That's how I remember that, a 1 and a 2. So interesting stuff there. All kinds of things you can learn here on the Digital Dice podcast.
You've earned your bowl of special K.
Yes, I have. Yep. Ways to get a hold of us here. Digitaltodice.com is the website. That's where we park all the shows. Over on Spreaker, 978-751-DICE is the Dice line. If you want to send us a text, 978-751-3423. I've been having some pretty good conversations with people doing some hockey replays, and they've been sending their results in, and it's been fun following along with that. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the best way to get a hold of us. I've had a couple of people, asking about some of the spreadsheets I set up for different games, and that's the best way to get a hold of me there. Just send me an email, digitaltodice@yahoo.com, and just ask which one you're looking for. And if I'm able to send it to, I will. There's some things that I can't send for obvious reasons, but if it's just a spreadsheet that I created to make a game easy, usually those aren't a problem.
Oh, by the way, if you actually do ask for help on the Facebook group, make sure you put our full name there so that one of us sees it. Just so you know, that came up the other day, and I knew to tag you, and so that you saw it. But,
yeah, because sometimes the Facebook group gets busy, and I don't get to see everything that goes on there. So, right. Yeah. But anyway, the direct way is digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And if I have it, I'll send it to you. If I can't or if I don't, then I'll let you know what the situation is. But speaking of our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/digitaltodice. Get over there and join the conversation. We want conversations, people. We want to talk about things, talk about topics on the show, talk about things going on when you play. That's what it's there for. Us to have some discussions. So feel free to do more than just post your results. Feel free to talk about things. Open up a discussion, just about different games or this and that. Try to make them a positive discussion if you can. But that's what it's there for. It's for discussions, not so much just posting results and things like that.
We are so close to 950 there, by the way.
Oh, we're getting there. Yeah. It's been slow and steady in that group.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Wordle results are not wanted there.
Now, today, we thought we would talk about why do we mod? Why do we... as soon as reading the instructions sometimes, some of us are already, the wheels are spinning on how we're going to make this game, quote, better. Sometimes it's after your first playthrough, your first few playthroughs. So we're going to talk about why do we mod? When we get a game, why do we all of a sudden really want to make some changes to this game? So that'll be our discussion today. But before that, should we get to... we could talk about the weather. We're going to get 2 feet of snow. You're going to get negative 10 degree cold.
Yeah, we have a wind chill advisory out for tomorrow. So that's 20 below wind chills again. I saw the latest map. Pretty much, Vermont is separate from the rest of New England today. You're about to get plowed.
Yeah.
2 feet of snow.
Yeah, in fact, we canceled. We have a Saturday morning hockey league. We've already canceled that because it's supposed to start at 10 tonight, and it's supposed to go till 10 Sunday night or 10 Saturday. I don't know. It's just supposed to go forever.
I think you got a good 24 hours.
And that's how it is around here. We can't just get a couple inches and make it look nice. We got to get destroyed. And already, so I was like, oh, well, what I'll do is I know I'll be snow blowing and shoveling, but I said maybe I'll go up to the gym because when I'm playing hockey, the gym canceled. The gym's closed. It's like, yeah, we're not going to open either. It's like, go get your exercise outside.
That's right. Go plow. Now, normally when you get a nor'easter, we get part of the nor'easter, but there's only a 1 in 10 chance of us seeing anything at all from this, and that is so unusual. But again, wind chills of 20, 25 below tomorrow morning here.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd rather have, cold and wind or snow.
I would be considering the flooding and beach erosion I've read about along the shores, especially in Rhode Island, because I have a friend that works as a meteorologist down there. I would gladly take 25 below zero wind chills than a flood this time of year.
Yeah, this is true. And I guess it all depends on, like we get lucky in January that when we get snow, we'll get a couple of 35-degree days to help clear it up a little bit. So I'm hoping that'll be the case again, because if we get 2 feet of snow, that's a lot of snow. It's going to be around for a long time.
Well, make sure that when your wife's out with the snowblower that you put the Wonder boots over her boots for the baggies so that they don't get wet.
Yeah, she's going to hurt her back shoveling all that snow.
That's right. Stay dry, Dave.
Anyway. All right, let's get into what we're playing, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you start. What's been going on over your way?
I last weekend did a how I play strat hockey video, and I played, I think, 1 or 2 games since then. So, by the way, the game that I showed was a 2-2 tie between the Islanders and the Flyers, because certainly we can't have nice things and beat the Philadelphia Flyers, blowing a 2-0 lead in the third period. But I played twice again this week. We beat them. Well, I won today. I beat Kansas City for the first time. I don't know. The Islanders had tied them the first 2. And then a home game against the Leafs, Laughs, Loops, whatever you want to call them. Hello, Canada. And won 4-2. Was up 4-1 with 4 cards left. The late Clark Gillies had just scored on a rebound. And so I put in the last lines for everybody, and with 4 cards left, I knew I had the point in hand. Of course, Toronto immediately scored to make it 4-2, and I'm thinking, do I? No, trust yourself, and they won 4-2. So the reason why I bring that up is that we are now halfway home in that replay. That was game number 40.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, again, there's no need to be in any hurry in a long-term season project. Go at it at your own pace. But yes, this has certainly been enjoyable. And somehow I'm 20 points behind the pace. But it's been fun. Let's see, what else? The 85 baseball replay is going great guns. We're now into May. So it's Dave Winfield's time. So we're doing 2 to 3 games for that a week. What else have I been playing? Wordle.
Oh, I didn't do mine today. I got to do mine today.
Then I can't talk to you about today's word then.
No.
Wordle, if you're not familiar, is kind of, someone called it the sourdough of the Omicron variety. Because remember when the first COVID went through, everyone started making sourdough bread.
Okay.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
It was a couple of years ago, but it was true. Everyone was home buying yeast to start their own sourdough thing. I don't know why. And so Wordle is a 5-letter word, a common 5-letter word, and you get 6 guesses at this word per day. Everybody plays the same word, so it's important for no hints if other people post it. So if you see these cryptic things on social media, please don't give angry signs and all that. Some of us really do enjoy this. I mean, we have to look at people's cooking things and baby pictures.
Yeah, I know.
Pets bathing.
Let us have our Wordle.
Let us have our Wordle. And remember, no clues.
Yeah, if you haven't played it, it starts off with a 6x5 grid, I think it is.
Well, you have 6 guesses.
Yeah, so it's 6 by so it's always a 5-letter word, and you start off on line 1, and you guess a 5-letter word, and it has to be a word. You can't just put like a. It's got to be an actual word that's recognized, and then you hit enter, and it says how many. It's almost like a combination of Mastermind, if you've ever played Mastermind, where you guess the color of the pegs, and Wheel of Fortune. It's a combination of the two.
Hangman, yeah.
Or Hangman. So you guess your first word, and it tells you how many letters are wrong, how many letters are correct but not in the right position, and how many letters are correct and in the right position. So you either got a gray, a yellow, or a green. And you just get on the list, process of elimination, guessing words. The idea, I have a little formula where I try to put together words, with certain letter combinations to try to, whittle it down, process of elimination. And so by the end of it, you get 6 tries and 6 guesses to try to figure out what that word is. And it's a fun little addictive game. It's fun to play.
And it resets every night at midnight in your local time zone. But again, we all play the same word. So it's very fun for me to see how other people approach it. Because some days I'll struggle, and I'll look, and a dear friend of mine will have it in 2.
Yeah.
And so if you get it in 2,
that's pretty lucky. That means your first guess was a really, really good guess, and you just whatever. I've got it in 2. There's an app that I play. It's called Word US, and it's a complete knockoff of Wordle, and it might even be by the Wordle people. I don't know, but it's an app, so you can play many times. You can just keep playing a new word every few seconds if you want. And so I practice with that, and when I'm sitting around, I'll just play that. So because the Wordle's once a day, but this one here you can just keep playing. And I've gotten lucky a couple times with a second guess, but
some desperation half-court shots. On the 6th.
But it's kind of fun because we'll talk. We'll say how did you get to this? Like, what word did you use before that? And it's like, I use this word, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I can see how you got there with that. So yeah, Wordle's a lot of fun.
They're all common words. So
usually, once in a while, you get a weird word, but it's not often.
Right. So they're words that you don't need to be an English whiz in order to enjoy the game.
Yep.
So what else have I been playing? Gems, of course. Not as much chess. The last time I played chess, I got routed in 10 moves. And
chess is frustrating. You got to be good at chess to enjoy it. You really do.
Plus, I got my ESPN Plus subscription reconfigured, so I can watch the second half of the hockey season. By the way, the Rangers have a ceremony for Henrik Lundqvist tonight.
Oh, nice.
So just in time to watch my pathetic Montreal Canadiens. I tried to get it for the Australian Open, which I did, but they don't play any meaningful matches while I'm awake because I'm old, and so I'm not staying up till 3 a.m. to watch tennis. So that was a complete bust.
Do they have on demand on that ESPN Plus?
They do. But by the time that, if something major happens overnight, you're going to hear about it in the morning.
That's true.
And it's tennis, so it's going to take a while. But the one thing that I've started to watch now that the PGA Tour is back stateside again is that the home of their PGA Tour streaming service is now part of ESPN Plus. It's part of the new TV deal. So
nice.
The next 8 to 10 years, it's on there. And so this week, for instance, at Torrey Pines, they had 5 streams going before I.
Oh, wow. Really?
There's a main feed. There's 2 featured group feeds.
Oh, that's cool.
So Wednesday, because it's a Wednesday through Saturday tournament, at dinner time I'm watching DJ and his group. And then yesterday at dinner I'm watching Bryson DeChambeau, Jordan Spieth, and Ricky Fowler just hit the ball all over the place.
That's good. Yeah, ESPN Plus is a really good value. They have the NHL on there, and I used to get the NHL package
for the next 8 years.
Yeah, and it was like $120 a year just for NHL. So now, for less than that, I think it's $100 a year. I think, right? For ESPN,
it is. It's such a great
and
deal.
You get everything. You get all, like I said, the golf you just talked about. You get all the hockey. I was watching Russian hockey league on there. They have in college football. They have like all these little schools on there playing, and it's so fun to watch these smaller schools play.
All the UVM games are on ESPN Plus. So I sat there one night this week and watched some women's basketball. They're a decent team, So obviously, I got to figure out a way to bookmark that in Peacock, the NBC streaming service for the Olympics and all that. But, the downside of all this is that you're going to end up having to have 4 or 5 different services to have anything that you want to, what you want to watch. But it's so convenient for it all to be right there. Plus, there's a documentary I do want to see, the 30 for 30 on the Last Dance for the Bulls. And there's a Brady series out. And just the tonnage of stuff.
Yeah, it is good. I used to like the prime time with Chris Berman. I was watching that Sunday nights or Monday morning, whenever it was there. So I did like that.
So that's pretty much what I've been playing and watching. But because I've been frozen inside, it has been bitter, bitter cold. Next week is supposed to be above 30 for the first time in maybe since Christmas.
Yeah, we've had a really cold winter.
Yeah, it's been very cold up here. So what about you?
See, down here, I guess I've been playing my hot stove stuff. I've been playing a lot of baseball. I love APA baseball. Okay, now that I'm over the whole card sticker shot,
I really think it's an ideal game for you.
It is. For me, it's an ideal game. And like you said, and I'm going back and forth. I bought the new book, so I got the big book, and then I also have the small book that Tebow sent me. So I'm going back and forth between the two books because I like some of the detail in one, but the other one's a little bit quicker, gets right to the chase, so I do like that as well. So depending on what game I'm playing or what I want to do, I go between the two books. But holy cow, Ron, the app of baseball, it is just so fun. And I'll sit there and I'll just play a couple games back to back. I think it takes me about a half hour play, maybe a little bit less than a half hour, depending on the game. And I'm playing and having some fun to such a point that I kept all my score sheets and I just started playing the 1980 season right from the start. And I went into Replay PC Baseball and started inputting all the results. And now I have no idea where this is going to go. I don't see myself playing every single game. I think that's obviously pie in the sky. But I'm just looking at what game is next, and I'm playing it. And I'm just enjoying it for what it is. And I don't know if I'll work in other games of this Replay, or maybe I'll sim, a few weeks with PC Replay Baseball. But for right now, I'm playing everybody's opening day game. Mm-hmm. And I'm just having some fun with it. And I got no pressure on myself. What I've been doing is going to Baseball Reference and looking up to see if they brought in like pinch hitters and who are the relief pitchers, just so I can try to keep as close to an as played as I can possibly get. Again, and for me, it's not that big of a deal, but I don't want to keep bringing in the same reliever every game, because that's not realistic either. So I'm trying to.
Let me make a plug because I sent these to you as well. BaseballSimResearch.com. Ron Bernier, who we'd love to have on the show, has gone through and done transactions and as-played lineups and bullpens day by day and transactions, and has as-played score sheets for God knows how many seasons that you can download as PDFs and print out as you want. And he for the longest time sold those for $10. So, but if you're really going to do a pure cards and dice replay, and even though if you're not going to do every day, you don't want to bring in yesterday's starter out of the pen or accidentally use tomorrow's starter, because if you sim them on the computer, that just mucks things up in the future. I mean, he has put hours and hours and hours of research into those things, and it's absolutely worth the donate. It's donationware.
Yeah.
You like it, you throw them $5. So baseballsimresearch.com, and that's Ron Bernier, Ron Bo's replay guides. And yes, for those who did this before, Baseball Reference, I'm sure he got most of his information from Retro Sheet. Careful how fast you say that, Ron. Because all the data that's out there now, you go back to, let's say, I'll give a quick story. May it please the court. And the first set of Strat cards I bought was 1990, and that was the year the Red Sox had won the division. And so the summer of 91, I'm off from flunking out of school, and took them out and somehow had Sporting News and had the Red Sox schedule. So I had to go through box score by box score, obviously, but I knew the schedule and would keep score on a notepad, probably the most homework I'd done all year, and was doing it that way. And so played, at least had the schedule. But that's how you'd have done that then. There were, I think, 25 cards per team. So you couldn't have done an as played, but you got, all the regulars. So point being that was out there. If that's how you did those things then. And now it just makes it easier and easier. But even with everything being on the computer, Ron Bernier's guides are invaluable if you want to do a pure card and dice, even a single team replay, even if you just wanted to take the Royals or the Red Sox or what have you and do those, because it's all right there.
That's a good idea. I think what I might do is I've been using PC Replay Baseball to log in the stuff, and some I've been doing after the fact, and some I've been doing as I've been playing, and I enjoy it both ways. Sometimes I like to grab a couple of games and play them up in Studio C upstairs, and then come down and log them in, because I can log in a game in a minute or two. And sometimes it's fun just to do it as you're playing the game. But what the PC Replay does, which is really nice, is it shows you the available pitchers and players for that game. And so what I do is I sit and I look at who's available. I look at I go to the lineup. I put in my lineup. I see who's available. And whoever's not, I put off to the side because I don't want to use a guy that wasn't on the team at that point. And
Right.
And I found that I already had to steal a couple of guys. There was a guy on, I don't know, Detroit that went to Cleveland, so I had to steal him from Cleveland. There was another guy I had to steal from California to put on
Dave
the team.
Lemanzik, I remember that.
Yeah, Lemanzik, and there was another guy I forget too that I was like, okay, what team's he on? Oh, he's over here, and he played for this team early in the season. So I've been doing that, and that's another great thing I like about App is they have pretty much everybody. So I haven't found anybody that I needed that I didn't have.
Think for what you bought, the 949 deluxe card model, I believe that is everybody.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. So if I get borrow somebody from California to play my game, then I put them back, and so I've been leaning heavily on PC Replay to help me just give me an idea who can play in that game and who can't. Mm-hmm. And again, it doesn't matter. It's just it doesn't really matter. But again, if I go to log in the stats in PC Replay and the guy's not there and I played him in my game, what do I do? I'm trying to.
And the other thing is that it does, even though you're never going to do a full as played replay, you want it to be realistic or plausible.
Yeah, I don't want to keep bringing in the closer every single game immediately as my first. I want to mix it up. I want to try to have some fun with it and be as, again, I don't take the baseball super serious, as you know, but I do want to have some bit of realism and accuracy, and to keep bringing in the same like I wouldn't play Andy Moog in 80 straight games in hockey, you know what I mean? So that's not what I want to do here, but with baseball. So I've been really enjoying that. I also been playing some Pocket Pennant Run, which again is just a fantastic game.
You had that great World Series.
Oh, jeepers, yeah. And you know what I did too is I pulled out a game from 1979. I forget what teams I played, but I logged that in on PC Replay too. So I'm thinking maybe I'll keep 1980, let that be my APA season, and then 79 can be the Pocket Pennant Run. I don't know. I like both of those seasons there, but it was was it that one? No, I forget now. Oh, you know what I did? I did a 73. I did 1973. That's what I did. Yeah, I did 1973. It was Jim Palmer and.
Oh, that's the game that you had the near no hitter, right?
Yeah. No, that was in APA. Oh, was
that in APA?
Yeah. No, this was another game. It was I forget what two teams I played, but I had an absolute blast with it. I thought I had the notes right here for the game I played, but I didn't. But I played Pocket Pennant Run. I think I actually streamed that one using the PC Replay again, just kind of playing a 73. Because I did 73 because I have 73 season in PC Replay baseball. So, yeah, those are the two main games. APA Baseball, 1980. And I'm really, really liking the APA Baseball. It flows. We talk about flow. It flows. It's fun. Yep. I can figure it out. I haven't got stuck in that game yet. And also Pocket Pennant, which is fun. Although I did, I ran into an issue with Pocket Pennant. And we talked about this, whereas I had a guy on second, and it was a ground ball to third. Oh, yeah. And the play was to get the lead runner. And again, you can take it literally and say, okay, the way they picked him off second, that's the lead runner. Or you can, most likely when they hit the third, he looked the runner back and went to first. So I guess there's a couple ways you could play that as long as there wasn't two outs. And so there was some discussion on the Pocket Pennant Run Facebook group about what should be done and which. And again, it all comes down to what you want. It's your game. Play it the way you want to do it. But what I like about that game, and even APA, it tells you exactly what happens on a play, more or less. With a Pocket Pennant Run there, with that guy on second, or even if there's a guy on third, if he, is he going to peg off the lead runner at the plate on a ground ball to third? Maybe he goes home, maybe he doesn't. So I think what I might do is roll a die on something like that. And if it's so in that situation again, where if it's get the lead runner and it's not a force, then I'll roll the dice to see if it's to play it first or if it's to play on the lead runner.
It's your game, your rules.
Exactly, my game, my rules.
It leads into our topic today. But before we do that, while we're switching topics, a dear friend of mine has written a children's book. It's sports related. His name is Andrew H. Martin. I've worked with him for a long, long time. And he was approached by a publisher to do a children's book, Baseball's Greatest Players. And so if you have a grandkid, niece, nephew, son, daughter, someone that you kind of want to, teach some baseball lore to, It's available on Amazon.com, and I believe the Kindle version is available today. But my buddy Andrew wrote it. Someone else illustrated it. It is 10 biographies for 10 different decades. It's about 75, 80 pages. And I'm so excited for him. He is so pumped. He's self-published a couple baseball books, but this is his first real. We want you to write this and do it. So he is so thrilled. So if you're so inclined, it's on Amazon, and it's a soft cover book. I'm not sure if it's being distributed in anything, but it is available.
And what's it called again?
Baseball's Greatest Players.
Baseball's Greatest Players. So check that out.
So it's a children's book, but 6 to 100. Even Betty White could have read it if she had been still with us. But just he's such a fun writer to begin with anyway. So I'm so pumped for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Yep. Good. We want to get a little plug in there for him. So that's great.
That's right.
All right. So let's get on to the topic of the day, shall we?
Oh, absolutely.
Before we get to the topic of the day, no, hang on a second. I just want to jump back to Wordle for a second. I saw that there's a hockey version of that.
Is there?
But here comes the big but. It's only last names of players. So
I wonder how many last names of players have 5 letters.
Well, that's the rub right there. Because when I saw that, it's like, oh, a hockey version. I'm thinking like skate and goalie, and they're like, no, it's all 5 last names. So like the example was Sakic, and I'm like, well, that's great, but I'm not sure of the spelling of a lot of guys' names, and just I don't think it'd be that much fun just with last names.
Just give away today's word, by the way. No, you didn't. No,
Sakic was today's word?
No, it wasn't. The look on your face, I was like,
well, the good news is this people probably won't get this till tomorrow, so that word will be long gone anyway. But anyway, yeah, so let's talk about why we mod. And this kind of goes back to a lot of different discussions we had, and probably most recently the Pocket Pennant Run, how that game come out, and and going back to Fast Drive Football from Al Wilson, and I know we've talked about this the last few weeks. Like those games come out, they were fun games, they were fast games, and it just like all of a sudden everybody jumped on this and wanted to make their own version of the game, and they wanted to add to this and change this and do it. And it just got me thinking, and I'm guilty of that too, because I've been getting a lot of people seeing my shootout hockey videos, and I did a couple on some of the mods that I did for shootout hockey. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first started playing shootout, which was one of my first games I played. I remember way back then.
Okay, Monty, I'll take door number 3.
Thank you.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That when I first got shootout hockey, I played it and I was like, this would be great, but I think I want to change this, and I want to change that, and I want to change this, and then I'm going to do that. And I made all these changes to shootout hockey, and then after playing a bunch of games with it, I slowly started walking back a lot of my changes to a point where I kept very few of the changes. But I look back on the couple of comments I got on my shootout hockey video about some of the things that I changed, and it's like they weren't really big major game changes. Like one of the homebrew rules I got is if a goalie gets hurt, which is like a rare thing, and the other goalie comes in, or if you bring in the other goalie from the bench, he comes in a grade lower than he normally is because he's coming in cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was things like that I did. I also capped how many power plays in a period, because there was one game when I kept rolling penalty after penalty after penalty, and the team got like 5-6 penalties in a row. And I felt that wasn't realistic. And again, the dice don't know that, or the facts don't know that, but I felt I think a lot of times in these games, Ron, not all of them, but in some of them, there's times where you can roll completely things that wouldn't happen in a real game. And I know anything can happen, and we talked about that. But again, if you're playing a football game and you get like 10 plays in a row with a penalty.
I don't know. Have you played the mid-70s Flyers?
You know what I mean? But I mean, this just... You get a lot of penalties, and whether it's hockey or football, and at some point you're like, this just wouldn't really happen like this.
I mean, there is a plausibility thing, I think, with that. And if you're playing two teams that are rather gentlemanly teams, and you get of your 20 minutes, 16 of them are on the power play. No, that's ain't gonna take away the fun, because every game treats a power play a little bit different than how you would treat an even strength situation. And especially if you're new to a game, and maybe it's your team, again, Flyer fans, no complaining. If your team is constantly shorthanded, it takes away kind of the fun. And so I could see that. Generally, I think from what you're describing is you're handed a new game, whether it's on the computer or specifically cards and dice, and you're trying to make all those instructions work in your head. And there's some of them that are going, maybe after I do this for a while, it'll start to make sense. And so the first thought is, I'm going to make this part of that game easier while I understand it. I know the first card and dice, when I started playing Strat Baseball in college, we did, Stratomatic is a great game to do that, even within their own rules set. Some rules you can use for basic, and others you can put in advanced, or you can play basic with the advanced side of the cards. Or do you want to do all the bells and whistles and do super, from basic to super advanced? Once you start to mix and match what rules you want to take, that's a mod. You're making it play your way. And in Apple hockey, do you want to do is the ODAI important for you? In baseball, do you want that D pitcher to actually stop some sort of single every once in a while? The choice is yours. And again, we've told you this over and over and over again, your game, your rules. And so, yes, I think for when you get a beginning part of the game, a classic F1 being a good example for me is, look, there's so much to keep track of in a complex game. How can I boil this down to something that is going to be plausibly realistic for me and fun? I know it's going to be complex. It would be like trying to pick up, your first version of Strat and going right to the Super Advanced or Appa Master or Replay Baseball out of the box. But how can I make this fun for me? And then if I find it to be too simple or I understand more of the mechanics, then you change the rules. But yes, I think a lot of that early modding that we all do is, wait, how can I put this in a form that I'm going to be able to understand and have fun with?
I think that's a good point, is making it work for you, because again, you're brand new at it, you're still learning it, and I think you tend to say right out of the gate, like, this makes more sense than this. Like, one of the things I did with Shootout was, if the period ended, I still flipped the card. And now, for at least for the first and second period, I don't do that anymore. If the period ends, the period ends. Because, I was like, oh, man, I need more chances. I need more shots. I want more scoring. But I was like, no, I don't think I do now. After playing enough games, I don't think I need to do that anymore.
And you can go into optional rules. The one thing I did with Shootout that I still do when I play is, if I get a penalty read, if someone's an X and I got 3 X's, I'm not going to write down 3 penalties. I will roll for who serves the penalty and gives the other team the power play chance, but I'm not going to, because I'm never going to do a full season replay of that. So having
so you only need the power play at the time.
I just need
You don't need to know how many people had a penalty in that game per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I might keep track of shots, but again, it's not the end of the world if I don't. So that is one mod I made for me the directions, because in my head it didn't make sense to me to sit there and have 4 chances and have 3 of them go by the boards immediately. If you're going to have a power play, you're going to have a power play. Now, I haven't done enough statistical analysis to know what the power play chances are in that game. I'm sure they're pretty high.
Yeah. Now, sometimes when you mod, you're not necessarily changing how the game plays. You're just adding to it. For example, when John Kay sent me over Shootout EZ before he released it, he goes, take a look at this, Dave, and let me know what you think. And we went back and forth, and we hammered out the final the edition of Shootout EZ, which is, if you're not familiar with, Shootout EZ is the fast play game for shootout hockey, where you use the same cards, but you're just rolling for scores in each period. You can actually play an entire game in 1 minute and 5 seconds. maybe 55 seconds, but right around a minute you can play a full game. It's how long it takes. And so what I did, it's like, well, using your cards and your formulas, not only can you get the final score, but you can keep flipping the fast action cards or rolling the dice and get your goals and assists. And that's something that I tacked on. That's not an official part of the game, and I made sure to point that out. But a lot of people are using that little mod that I did, which is an add-on. So it doesn't change how the game's played. It just allows you to get goals and assists. And then even I come up with a way of figuring out in what order the goals were scored if you wanted to do it that way too. So there's add-on mods, like with the the fast drive football from Al Wilson. People were finding ways to figure out how long a field goal attempt was, who's getting the touchdowns, who's running it. I mean, so there's all kinds of things there, that people were adding on to these games. So I guess it's a mod, but it's more of an add-on than it is changing the game. And so if you want to play a game of fast drive football, you can almost get complete stats now with some of the mods that people have done, and it doesn't change the way the game's played. It just adds to the experience of what you have there.
We're talking mods here. We're talking homebrew.
Right. This is stuff that people come up with themselves on the game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Then you have some mods that do change the game. When I started playing Pocket Pennant Run, and I'm not, like I say, don't know enough about baseball and stealing and all that stuff, but I was like, I was stealing practically every time I had a guy in first base. And then we talked about, should we include the catcher's defensive rating maybe to slow down the runner or something like that? And I think it was you and there was someone else that kind of looked at all the math and looked at the ratings of the guys that were stealing. Like, no, that chart is pretty darn accurate as far as if you're an A runner, B runner, or a C runner, that's about the probability of bases you're going to steal regardless of who the catcher is. So people were trying to come up with ways to figure out, stealing and all this other stuff and, have the catcher come into play like some other games do. And that game, it's all built in. So we really don't need to get all crazy looking up catcher's arms or trying to figure out a rating for the catcher. It's really all kind of built in. So in that game there, after talking with you and a couple other people, I just went back to the regular chart. I didn't do anything. I didn't mod anything. I just said, I'll just keep the chart the way it is. That's how they designed it, and they had a reason why they did it that way. And when we look at the stats for stealing, that chart's pretty good. You could fine-tune it, I guess, like anything else. But so I reversed my thought on that. I'm not doing that at all. So, and I know somebody else come up with a 1D20 chart instead of a 1D12. So that might be something I would look at. It just kind of expands some of the chances a little bit or decreases the chances or whatever. But yeah, there's some things that I've tried as a mod, a homebrew, if you will, something I wanted to do on my own, whatever game it was, and I walked it back. Now, there's some games that absolutely need some help with the homebrew stuff to clear. And Apple Hockey is probably at the top of that list. If you try to play a game of Apple Hockey,
a lot of the rewrite for Apple Hockey was a homebrew when we had Mark Zarbon. He's the one that did that.
Yeah. Now, but since he took it over, somebody else rewrote that rule book, and with all due respect, it's a disaster. And my Apple Hockey video that talked about that is still one of my better playing videos because I just go over everything that I think the rule book either did wrong or explained poorly. And I said, here's my workaround for this, and here's how I interpret this, and here's how to get through this. And I think it clarified a lot of what was in the book that needed to be clarified. And then I, added in some like the penalty mod there. And I forget the guy's name, but there's a penalty sheet that I use. I don't use the Apple book for penalties. I use this other guy's sheet. It is so good, And I'm not saying that I made any changes to the game, but I found some home brews outside.
Yes.
And that's what I'm using to make the game so much better. Somebody else had an assist chart. Holy cow, you could sit there all day rolling for assists, how they want you to do it. You go to the assist chart, you roll the dice, it tells you how many assists you got and who got them. And that's it. It's that's how simple it is. You get 1 or 2 dice rolls, and that's it. You're not sitting there rolling and checking assist check. It tells you it's a high assist, a low assist, the middle assist. There's 1 assist, And so how that assist chart works out, it's a time saver, and it's based was it Mike Burke? Mike Burke comes to mind. That the penalty things. Maybe that's.
You would know that.
Yeah, but and he did all the he like when he showed his penalty chart, he showed his work and the footnotes and the percentages and how it all kind of works out. So no, he just didn't put this together willy-nilly. He said this is kind of going off the percentages of penalties and how this is supposed to work out. So with APA Hockey, it's almost like you needed the homebrews and the mods just to make that game playable, because how they wanted you to do it was so clunky. It really was. So without even changing the game, it just kind of clarifying things and just taking the mundane rolls out of that. I mean, when I first started playing, I literally could roll 10 or 15 times trying to get assists, because you're looking at the guy's assist number and you got to roll under that. Well, if everybody in the ice is a 14 or 15 assist, you got to start rolling. If you start rolling 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're sitting there rolling forever till you get your 2 assists. So again, that chart there just simplifies everything and speeds it up, and just you don't need to spend all that time on that. And so there's some mods that I think are absolutely necessary just for your own sanity, to keep the game flowing and make it fun for you. So you got the add-on mods. You got the mods that just simplify the game, as you were talking about. And then you got the crazy stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff that we do that's just we think would make the game more fun. And so that's what we do. And there's some crazy ones out there. I've seen some people on Delphi and Facebook, and here's my mod for this. And I'm just scratching my head going, this makes it so much more difficult.
But, and the curious thing is that by the time that I played proper APA, you sat there and read for years about the mods that, everybody's grandmother has a mod, homebrew rule for APA, until you learn to play it. And then you can go through and mix and match to your tastes. And so you're looking at a game, and because so many homebrew rules were concocted for this, you kind of wonder, well, how flawed is this? And if it's that flawed, why are you still playing it? And it turns out that's not the case at all. In fact, Replay, the original version of Replay Baseball, was a mod for I was going to say Action PC, for APA. Dave Cook is not that old. For APA Baseball, they came up with, rewrote the rules, and so on and so forth. So it's a spin-off of that. But again, mix and match to your tastes. And the other end of it is when you play enough of a game to go, this, 88% or 92% of this works for me. I like the basics of the game. I like the game structure, so on and so forth. Roster card baseball is one of those ones that I like 95% of how it's done. But I have my own homebrews, and since I don't ever write anything down, the homebrews might change from game to game. However, I wanted it to go. But the base game itself is so good that, in my case, trying to simplify it to not to have so many dice rolls or whatever it is. And again, there really isn't any wrong way to play anything. It makes it, you're taking their game and their product that you spent money on and making it work for you. And sometimes, as you talked about with the APA hockey, penalties and all that, some things need major work, and some things just like, we just want this to be streamlined a bit. Or
I want it to be fun, and
you need it to be. We absolutely need our games to be fun.
Yeah. And 80 or 90% of this game is fun. This is not fun, And I run into that with Hockey Blast. Is that I do like Hockey Blast, but there's enough of it that just drives me nuts. And again, you start rolling that dice, and if you go down a bad rabbit hole in Hockey Blast, it's just not fun. It's just no flaw in the game. It's just that rabbit hole is just
doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for me.
Every game is going to work for everybody.
So I play Hockey Blast Dave's way, And I have way more fun with Hockey Blast playing it Dave's way. And I couldn't tell you what Dave's way is right now, but I know that when I start playing and I start rolling the dice, I know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And if I got to skip something, if I got to skip a fight or skip a penalty or do whatever I got to do to make it fun. And doesn't mean that I'm cheating to make my team win, because what's the sense of that? But if something happens in a game, it's like, no. I just say no. No, this ain't going to happen this way, and we will continue on. I'll do something else, And I've done the same with Strat Hockey. I've played a game of Strat Hockey. It's like, nope, no, this ain't going to happen here. And so I'll inside the crease, too. I'll come up with a late penalty. And it's like, nope, I got a good game. I'm not reckoning with the penalty.
Go away. You're not deciding this game.
Yep, but to be fair...
Yes.
To be fair, if the other team gets a penalty, then I'll erase that too. So I'm so unfair to both teams.
As long as you play it. And that's, it's tougher to do in the computer games because, look, at Action PC, if the whistle blows at 19-4 because someone got called for that, like, oh, are you kidding? Now I'm up a goal and the goalie's out, and now I got to defend on a 6-on-4. Great. It is what it is. But yeah, that's. Unless you are playing in a tournament, which all have specific rules anyway, the way you play a game, Strat, APA, is not the same way, even the computer games, is not the same way that I'm going to play those games. And it's not going to be the way that, let's say, ID Jester plays those games. ID Jester did a lot of work, I know, in Payoff Pitch to get the I believe it was Payoff Pitch, he can correct me if I'm wrong, to get the fielding charts in a manageable case to make it easier to understand. I'm not sure how many mods were put in with that, but it was like, oh, okay, I understand this now. Because we've talked about this a lot of these games are very small operations, and if you design your own game and you understand that a roll of 99 on a 100-sided or 2 10-sided dice means that you got to go to this chart. If you don't put it in the directions, I'm not necessarily going to understand that, and you start to get frustrated. For instance, in the Pocket Pennant run, there's no thing in the rules that you need 3 D12s.
Yeah, I know that was left out.
And it's like, okay, you figure it out once you look at it, and it's like, no, there's a 1 there. We're not playing with 2D6. We're playing with D12s. You could mod it to that, but then you'd lose something because you never would roll the 1. Anyway, just kind of, that sort of thing. And so none of us ever played the same way. We've modded it somewhat, homebrewed it somewhat to our taste. And I also want to make the point that we talked about changing how we play the games. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the game that you're playing.
No, I get that little guilt when I start changing things. It's like I'm really not second guessing the guy who made the game because they made it a certain way and they got a reason for everything. But I tend to just my creativity in me to tweak things and fine tune things, and that's one thing you talked about offline with me about. A lot of us are very creative, and our creativity comes out. So we might not be able to create a full game, but we find a game that we really like and like, wow, my creativity says, I think if I just tweak this a little bit, it might make the game just a little bit better for me. And so you feel guilty about changing somebody's game, but how many times have we seen, somebody tweak a game and the developer's like, gee, that's actually a really good idea. It doesn't wreck the game. It doesn't throw off anything. And I think that might be a good add-on.
And sometimes the tweaks that I make, especially when playing anything Stratomatic related, is to play it solely as it comes out of the box. Because in the Strat PC games, you can add some of the max rules, slow down the dice if people are there, correct board game excesses, or yada, yada, yada. And no, I don't want that. I'm not looking for the game to be super accurate. I'm looking to replicate on my computer what it would be if I sat there with the 18 with my mom, who I was texting with while you were talking, crocheted me a cup holder so I could shake the dice with my teeth so I wasn't eating the dice.
Oh, nice.
And so and that Red Sox thing I was doing 30 some odd years ago. And so, yes, it depends on what type of experience that you're looking for. And look, I know that not every rule that every game company makes should be taken verbatim. You should be able to play around with that, but you can, at least with those, get the type of experience, gaming experience that you want. And for Stratomatic, as opposed to my Action PC, I'm not doing as played with those. I mean, so even the as played concept of a replay is a mod. It's a homebrew. How close to real do you want to get? And or our buddy Al does a great homebrew version. He will use, and actually he's doing the 62 Mets. He's trying to get them over 40 wins. He should get about 60, I think, before all is said and done. But he will take the lineups, but jiggle them around a bit. So if someone's hitting 8, who really should be hitting 5th or 6th, he'll move them and try to get there and play different, playing different types of ball. You, for baseball, are a small ball player. Al, realizing that the 62 Mets are one of the almost as bad as the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, will do the go-go White Sox with him. He'll small ball them to death. He'll do what he can to win. Now, that's not playing the game out of the box. Some people may seriously object to that, but that for him, that makes it fun. For you, that makes it fun. And that's a homebrew as well. If you take a team, let's say any Red Sox team between 1974 and
2003
today, 2003, and try to play small ball with them, say a novena, because good luck. But if that's what makes it fun for you, then that's what makes it fun for you. And that in itself is a mod, because traditionally that's not how the team should be played.
The other,
again, it's your game, your rules.
The other type of mod I do want, before we wrap things up here, is when you combine basic, advanced, and super advanced, or master, or whatever you want to call it here. So when because I was playing, I think it was some Strat baseball, and I used some of the advanced rules, but not all of them. And the same with that app.
Fielding charts in the left and righty side.
Yeah. So I was doing some of that, and then when I started playing Appa Baseball, I used Tabletop Delaware there. Chris, he had a stealing chart that was part of the master game, and I think he said that was the only master rule he was using was the base stealing, because he says, like myself, it's like, that's the automatic stealing in Appa, but there's sometimes you're like, it
takes a lot to get used to that.
Yeah, it's like, I want to send a guy. We're in the 8th inning, we're down by a couple of runs. I need a run. I want to send a guy. And so it's part of the master rules. And I don't know if it's all of his or it's part master, part his, but whatever it was, he had a chart, and you look right at the card, and again, I really do like the new Appa cards. Now that I'm used to them, I really do like the Appa baseball cards now, because they have the master symbols on there. And the master symbols, it gives everybody a stealing grade, A through N, I think, or A, B, C, D, F, G, N, or something like that. N means never steal. And it gives you an idea. So there's a chart that he has that shows when they can steal and when they can't, depending on their letter grade. And then it gives you the stealing rating, and you look at the catcher card and the pitcher card to look at the move to first and then the throwing arm of the catcher. So you look at the 4 ratings, the letter grade to let you know if he can steal. The number grade, that's his starting stealing number. And then you do add and subtract the catcher and the pitcher ratings to get a final number, and you roll on a different chart to see if he stole or not. And I've been incorporating that into my Appa Baseball, so that's part of the master system, but I'm not using anything else master, just that. And I do the same sometimes when I play my Strat hockey. I use some advanced, some super advanced, but
you don't do the super advanced power play.
No, I don't do that, but there's a couple of super advanced rules. I think I might use a couple of super advanced rules. I forget if I do or not.
Do you do the penalty charts or no for that?
I do the advanced right now. But there's a couple, I think there's 1 or 2 super advanced rules that I have woven in there. Just,
face-offs, I think, are super advanced, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's so again, as far as modding a game, sometimes you cherry pick which of the advanced rules you want to use in your game. And so you're not really playing advanced, you're not playing master, you're not playing super advanced, whatever that's called for that. You're kind of playing a mix mash of that. So it is kind of you are modding it because you're adding in rules, but you're not adding in all the rules, And so that comes into, I guess, consider, modding the game as well is picking and choosing from different levels of play.
Absolutely. And it's encouraged. Again, the whole point is to not make this an exercise in futility. And you don't want to play the gosh darn silly thing again. You want to be able to play this. And look, the results are going to come out pretty much the same. You're not really, if you're playing, let's say, basic strat baseball, for instance, but you're using the advanced side of the cards to get the results, it's you could do that. It's fine.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is when we ask the question, why do we mod? Is we want the game to be more fun for us individually. I think that's what it comes down to. And if that means adding to the game, or if that means taking away from the game, or changing something to make it more fun for you, as you said, you don't want an exercise in futility. You don't want to be dread anything you got to do in the game. Oh boy, this comes up. Now I got to deal with this. I hate this.
Then the game won't get pulled out. It gets stuck in the back of the closet, or
then you're like, I don't want to do this. And there's some games. Don't get me wrong. There's some games that are in my closet right now that I have a mental block with because I don't want to deal with one particular part of the game. I would rather play something else where I don't have that issue. But like, I pull out this game, then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that.
Right, and then some days you're tired. I just want to play.
Yeah, I don't have to dread this part of the game. And so that comes in. So I think that's why we mod too, is we want to make it funner. We want to make it easier. We don't want to make things in our mind, flow in our mind. And some things prevent that from happening, at least in our mind. Maybe if you get used to it or whatever, but there's some things it does drive you nuts, So that's another part of the thing there. And just going back to the adding the advanced and the super advanced rules. APA hockey, as you know, there's the ODAI, which is a general defensive number.
Right.
And then in baseball, you add up all the fielding ratings, and that gives you your general fielding rating and tells you what column to look at. In both situations, there's a hockey mod, and or I don't know if it's a mod or an advanced rule. And then in baseball, there's an advanced rule where you can, depending where the ball is hit, that will determine what chart you look at. So in other words, if you let's just say you have an average number of 36, and you're looking at chart 2, if that's correctly. So the fielding you're looking is 3 charts, 1, 2, and 3 in APA baseball, and you're looking at chart 2 for this team. Well, what this little advanced rule is, if it's hit to short, you actually look at the shortstop, see what their rating is. And that might change what column you look at. So for shortstop, you might be reading off of column 1. For right field, you might be reading off of column 3. And so that's another little advanced mod in the game. It's not much, it's an advanced rule. And I incorporated that for a while. Then I found that slowed the game down for me because now I got to see, okay, where's it getting hit? What's his rating? And then what chart I'm looking at. So I bounced between that and just, the general team defense. And in hockey, someone come up with a way to do that too, that if you're going up against somebody, instead of using ODAI, you look at their defensive rating, and there's a little chart for that tells you if there's any adjustment at all, too. So that was more of a homebrew than the APA. The APA one's actually in the book. But it just, again, there's different ways that and so instead of looking at a general team defense, you can actually look at individual ratings. It gets into more of the complexity of the game. It adds time to the game, but again, it adds a little bit more depth if that's what you're looking for in a game. So, Anyway, so we want to ask you guys, why do we mod? Why do you mod? What do you do when you mod? What is the goal when you mod? And what are some of your favorite mods? Have you ever modded stuff and then walked it back, like I've done a few times? Because I get a little too creative and I walk it back and bring it back more towards the original game. So why is it that we do that? We get all excited, especially when a new game comes out and we want to make some changes, and we part of it might be we all want to contribute. That we want to be creative. It's like, hey, we got this great game, and I'd love to contribute to your game. What do you think about my idea?
I think overall, and I think this goes into the other type of modding too, with logos and players and fields and all that, is we want the game to be ours. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, we want it to be Dave Strat, Ron Zappa, Mike's Action PC, whatever it is, we want it to be ours. And again, that doesn't mean that, you might put bacon in your chicken noodle soup, for instance. I mean, as long as there's chicken broth, chicken, and noodles, whether you put celery and carrots in or bacon or whatever to make it yours. But I think whatever game that it is that we play, we want it to be our game. To do that, you change it up a little bit. That doesn't mean that the game is bad. It just means that we're doing this to make it ours.
And I had a little flashback there. When you said cutting up the carrots and the celery, all I can picture is Bugs Bunny sitting in the pot while the natives are cutting up all the vegetables and putting it in with them.
What you making, Doc?
Rabbit stew. That sounds terrific.
Ooh, it smells so good, Doc.
Anyway, all right, want to wrap this one up here?
Sure.
Living by the numbers. This has been episode 121 of the Digital to Dice podcast.
The Lawrence Welk edition.
Thank you very much. And see, ways to get a hold of us. digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is how you can get a hold of us on a text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is our email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digital-to-dice. And we want to hear you. Chime in. Chime in on that. Yeah. Why do we mod? Why do you mod? What have you modded? Tell us your modding stories as we talk about gaming here on the channel. Ron, thanks for joining me again today.
As always.
Hey, stay warm up there, will you?
Oh, my gosh.
And I'll be thinking of you while I'm shoveling 2 feet of snow.
Okay. Have Sharon peel those grapes for you. Bye-bye.